Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're diving into the literal bedrock of our modern world. Whether you're streaming this right now on a smartphone or a laptop, the whole shebang traces back to a single, incredibly humble moment, and a small group of human pioneers who basically shaped our entire digital reality. We're going to walk through a historical timeline to understand exactly how this revolution, which, let's face it, permeates everything from our living rooms to the International Space Station, actually began. It's this wild story filled with speculative ideas, repulsive university corridors, and a super simple message that permanently changed human history.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer historical magnitude of this, think about Christopher Columbus for a second. The scientists who were actually there at the very beginning, they compared a simple 1969 log entry to the exact moment someone on Columbus's ship first spotted the New World. In both cases, they basically just jotted down a quick note saying, "Hey, we found something." But looking back now, the pioneers realized that this digital log document holds the exact same equivalent importance to human history as discovering a totally new continent. It's absolutely massive.
All right, let's jump in the time machine. The year is 1969, October 29th to be exact. We are at Ground Zero, the campus of UCLA in Los Angeles. If you walked into the science building back then, you'd find these corridors that look downright repulsive. Yet, one of those ugly hallways leads to what the pioneers and scientists now consider a sacred location. It's basically a holy place, reconstructed years later as a sort of shrine, because that exact spot, in 1969, is where the internet officially took its first breath.
Now, looking at the pioneer journey, it's wild how fast things actually moved. We went from these highly conceptual, speculative ideas in the early 60s from visionary thinkers like Ted Nelson, straight into hard physical hardware at UCLA in '69. And by 1973, you had guys like Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn already writing the global rules to connect multiple different networks together. So, a totally speculative dream became a hardwired reality in just over a decade.
So what did that first physical manifestation actually look like? Well, enter the packet switch. This was the very first piece of internet equipment ever installed. It was a military-hardened mini-computer, which essentially means you couldn't break it even if you tried. It was designed to just sustain itself completely unattended for years at a time. The pioneers actually noted that it was so ugly on the inside that it was kind of beautiful, complete with this delicious, unique odor of old parts, modems, and memory units. But that ugly machine served as the very first node of the internet.
Okay, the story of sending the very first message is literally like a sitcom. The comedic pacing is just incredible. All they wanted to do was log in from their UCLA computer to a Stanford Research Institute computer, which is 400 miles north. To do that, you just had to type LOG. To make sure it worked, the programmers at both ends were literally on a telephone handset together. They typed the L, got the L, yep, got the L. They typed the O, got the O, yep, got the O. They typed the G, and the Stanford computer completely crashed. No way, right?
But here's the best part. Because of that system crash, the first message ever sent on the internet ended up being simply "low." The pioneers joke about it now, saying it obviously stands for "lo and behold." And honestly, they noted that they couldn't have asked for a more succinctly beautiful, powerful, and prophetic first message. Lo and behold, a revolution had officially begun.
But to really get the mindset behind all this, we gotta rewind a tiny bit to pioneer Ted Nelson in the early 60s. Picture him out in a rowboat, just trailing his hand in the water, watching how the ripples moved and interconnected around his fingers. It suddenly struck him that the entire universe is a system of ever-changing relationships. He realized the traditional writing wrongfully compresses this vast, beautiful tapestry of interconnection into a super narrow sequence. His visionary focus on expressing those interconnections, that perfectly predicted the foundation of the connected web we use every single day.
Fast forward back to the early 1970s, and as these ideas took root, the complexity just exploded. There wasn't just one network anymore. You had the original ARPANET, a ground-based packet radio net, and a satellite net. The big challenge? Connecting them all together. So in 1973, Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn collaborated to create the fundamental internet protocols. Basically, they wrote the essential rules and the underlying technology needed to allow these totally diverse, independent systems to seamlessly communicate as one single internet.
Now, as these networks grew, the pioneers stumbled onto a really surprising mathematical discovery: the law of large numbers. It states that when you have a massive population of highly unpredictable players, or in this case, messages, collectively, they actually behave in a very predictable and exact fashion. The pioneers realized that the larger the network scales, the far more mathematically efficient it becomes.
It literally operates exactly like a gambling casino. I mean, a casino is incredibly efficient and definitely makes money when you have millions of totally unpredictable gamblers playing the slot machines, right?
If you want a crazy visual for this explosion in growth, get this. Back in the late 1970s, one pioneer actually kept a physical paper directory, like a literal book you could hold in your hands that contained the name, address, and phone number of every single person on the internet. You could literally thumb through it and look up who you were talking to. Today, we couldn't even comprehend the directory of every user. If we tried to print it out in that exact same format today, that book would be an estimated 72 miles thick.
And that massive explosion in users was completely mirrored by the underlying tech. The foundational technology of the internet hasn't just grown, it is scaled by a factor of 1,000,000 in computational speed, in communications bandwidth, and in storage capacity. 1,000,000. And the wild thing is, it might even scale by a factor of 1,000,000,000 or 1,000,000,000,000 in the next decade. Nothing else in the entire history of mankind has ever worked as a technological contribution over that massive span of growth.
Okay, if a millionfold jump is kind of hard to wrap your brain around, try this analogy from the pioneers. Take the worldwide data flow that passes through the internet today, every video, every text, every email you send, and imagine burning all of that data from just one single day onto standard CDs. That pile of CDs wouldn't just reach the ceiling. It would stack all the way up through space, reach the planet Mars, and come all the way back to Earth. One day. And all of that came from a single, stuttering, low message in 1969.
So with a scale that is literally reaching planetary proportions, we have to transition into some of the philosophical reflections of the pioneers. You know, a Prussian war theoretician once famously said that sometimes war dreams of itself. Well, the pioneers are now asking, does the internet dream of itself? Does this sprawling, totally unpredictable network of connections have its own imaginative patterns now? We actually already see unpredictable patterns causing massive flash crashes on financial markets without any human intervention at all.
Which brings us to this really profound perspective. Because the internet is fundamentally just a base layer of computers talking to each other, humans can build entire new realities right on top of it. When visionary Tim Berners-Lee conceived the World Wide Web, he essentially layered a whole new dimension over those computers. In that sense, the pioneers say the web is the internet dreaming of itself. It's this evolving consciousness layered perfectly over those raw mathematical connections.
And that brings us to the big, forward-looking question. The pioneers emphasize that the internet is, by its very nature, out of control. It was explicitly designed so people could communicate without centralized oversight, and it's going to continue to propagate out of human control regardless of what governments or industries try to do. So, as we reflect on that incredible butterfly effect from that humble 1969 origin, we have to ask ourselves, will we continue to shape the internet's future, or will this rapidly evolving digital consciousness ultimately shape ours? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it leaves you with a lot to think about.